Hey guys, welcome to my October reading wrap-up. Last month has been interesting reading-wise. I read some very enjoyable books, but I also got the first DNF of the year, which is not cool. Anyway, let's talk about the cover page I am working on right now. I have never done the checkered pattern myself, so this was kind of nerve-wracking, and of course there are some wonky lines, but I think it turned out nice. It was a last-minute decision before I started working on the page, and I think it turned out okay. I want the main focus to be on this beautiful witch sticker by Marigona Sully, and I spent a lot of time thinking about how not to overwork the page, because I was guilty of that in the last couple of months. I decided to go with this ornate frame. I found it on Canva, changed the color and printed it onto clear sticker paper. It is not as crisp as it would have been if I printed it on the white photo paper I usually use, but when I realized I'd need to cut around all of those tiny bits, I'd rather sacrifice a bit of color. It was a pain to actually stick to the page and you can see the sticker under it, but what do you say? I think it looks cute. If you have seen any of my previous journaling videos, you won't believe it, but I am actually adding nothing else onto the page, except October title. It took a lot of self-restraint, guys. The witch sticker is the center of the attention exactly as I wanted. For the title, I used leftover cardstock to place it on to make it more visible on the page. And yes, the cover is done. On the next page, there is a calendar. I made it smaller this time so I could fit some statistics and a list of books I read during October under it. For the calendar, I used this dark brown Stabilo pen, and I think it's getting empty because I have to go quite slow to get the line even. And I did not use a ruler here, so it would be as wonky as the grid pattern is. I was not sure whether to do the background on this page as well, but I am glad I did. Those pages now look like they actually belong next to each other. I put more frames in the bottom part of the page. These are also from Canva, and I again changed the color. All three are actually the same frame but printed on different papers, and you can see slight difference in color of them, but not too much to distract. On the right side is a place for statistics. Not too many, just the overall numbers, how many pages I read and hours listened and stuff like that. And next to it, on the left, I have the list of books I read during the month. There were 10 books, and by sheer luck, I had the exact space in the frame for all of them. There are mostly books I actually finished in October, but also few I continue reading now in November. And I mark days I read each book in the calendar above. Lastly, I am adding some cute ghosties reading books, and the cover spread is done. Now let's finally talk about the books I read. And the first one I finished is Vengeful by V. Schwab. And I was so happy I finally completed the Villains duology, but then I learned it's supposed to be a trilogy. I just found a third book listed in the Goodreads, and I am not sure what to think about it. It's been 6 years since this book came out, and yeah, I don't know. I thought I'd get to cross this series out of my series list, and now I guess not. I read The Vicious last year and it was okay. And I have to say Vengeful was okay as well. To be honest, I remember very little from it, and it has been only a month since I read it. So yeah, I guess not a memorable read. I always tell myself I need to write notes as I read the book, but I never do that. And then it is like this. I have no idea what to talk about when reviewing the book. But hey, I gave it 3 stars, which is an okay book for me. Okay, so I actually sat down and thought about it for a hot minute, and all I can remember is that we spent a lot of time with Ellie in the prison, and it was the same thing over and over. Victor's POV was more interesting and it felt like there was more at stake, but I would still like more of both of them. That's why all of us read the book, to get more of Victor and Ellie. Instead, we got a bunch of other little storylines, and it was just not doing it for me. They were bland and boring and not exciting, not interesting for me, and I don't know, it was just meh. Things I actually enjoyed about this book were Victor's chapters, which there was criminally small number of, and chapters with Ellie's past. And that's honestly only parts I actually remember from this book. I was thinking whether I should tell you about books in order I finished them, or to continue on a happy note. And let's do a couple of good ones now. A Far Wilder Magic was a book that pleasantly surprised me. And if I say that about a young adult fantasy romance, it has to be decently good, because I can't stand this usually. I got this book way ago because I liked the cover, and long before I knew I am not a fan of fantasy romance. This is a story about two desperate people trying to find themselves in a world that does not want them. They are slowly getting to know and trust each other while being part of the deadly hunt on a magical being. While they both seem to be completely different from each other, with time we realize they are not that different at all. Both are doing what they can to survive while fighting their inner demons, like many of us, right? I like the writing in this book, which I am really happy about, because we got the book from Alison Saft in the Illumicrate box recently, so there is now a big chance I will enjoy that one as well. The story was flipping between the POVs of our two main characters, which made us see everything from both of their perspectives in real time. The story was progressing quickly, yet we still got to see different views, different feelings and opinions about the same thing without unnecessary repetition, and I really like that. It felt like the story was constantly moving forward while we were learning about the characters and their past and what led them to think and act how they are now. One thing I was not a fan of was the history. I just did not get it, and later I completely gave up on trying to understand why is the hunt actually happening. Plus, the author came up with some Latinized words that were not explained, and I just had to guess the meaning. Overall, very enjoyable read for me. Now, let's talk about the Graveyard Shift. It is the long-awaited new book by ML Rio, and it's been, 6-7 years since the If We Were Villains was released, and that book is favorite of many of us, and we were all excited about the new book, but I guess people did not even check out what the book would be or anything really, because everybody was surprised about how short it is. Well, yeah, it is a novella. And secondly, you cannot expect from the author to write the same thing again. Many people were disappointed, which shows on Goodreads rating. It is only 3.29 at the time I am recording this, and that is incredibly low. I don't think it deserves to be that lowly rated. Did she uselessly put way too many POVs into the small amount of pages? Yes. Did I have a good time reading the novella? Yes. Was I pulled into the story and enjoyed the atmosphere? Yes. I wish the book was longer, much longer, so we would be able to see and learn and experience more. I don't think we needed that many characters in there, but other than that, I was once again sucked into the story. I hid behind gravestone from the mysterious man, and I studied the old moldy mosaic on the wall. Emelrio's atmospheric writing always makes me feel like I am actually there next to the characters. The author herself said this would be something different, and it was. Is it my favorite book? No, but it was not bad either. Now, let's go quickly over the bad ones so we can end on a happy note. How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying. Well, I started listening to this book based on many glowing reviews on BookTube about this book and about the author in general, and I was so deeply disappointed and disgusted. I had to DNF after an hour. The realization to DNF hit when I was preparing to go home after work, opening the Audible app, and I actually felt dread about listening to one more minute of this. This story is supposed to be about a girl who is, I guess, a game character. She has always tried to be a hero and become powerful, but eventually she gets sick of constantly dying and being stuck in a time loop, so she decides to become the Dark Lord instead. That is such a cool premise, and look at the cover. It is so nice and playful and promises a humorous and enjoyable story. But instead you get naked bisexual woman only swearing or speaking almost entirely in pop culture references from the world she supposedly remembers nothing about, mind you. And if she's not doing that, she's talking or thinking about sex. And she's getting herself killed in between. That's it. This is the perfect example of a woman written by men and how not to do it. My next choice was Black Crow Cabin, and it was slightly better, but not by much. Also, the bar was set so low at the time, I'd have to be extremely unlucky to find something worse. Black Crow Cabin is supposed to be a mystery thriller about a collector who starts by stealing small stuff and works himself up to stealing children. We follow a single mother with 2 children living on an isolated ranch. Her family has some kind of history with witchcraft or something, because every time she's in danger, she smells magnolias. And she smells them all the time. It's her only line of defense. She smells magnolias, she knows she or her children are in danger, and she does absolutely nothing about it and acts as stupid as it gets. Also, she has feelings for her late husband's best friend, and no matter how dangerous the situation, she won't stop thinking and fantasizing about him. The collector's POV was, well, I guess the author was trying to portray twisted mind of a psychopath, but it got so repetitive and boring. I rolled my eyes every time we got to his chapters, and I fought the urge to skip to the next chapter. Ending was predictable without any tension or wonder, and honestly cringy as well. I don't understand how this has a much better rating than Graveyard Shift, but I am not going to judge anyone. I know I am usually the one who has different opinions than majority. Moving on over to my favorite books of October, and that are books 2 and 3 in the Dungeon Crawler Carol series. It was such a beautiful moment when I started audio and was greeted with an awesome narrator and a great story after what felt like forever of trashy books, but it was only a week. I love Princess Donut and Carl and Mungo and Mordecai so much I finished both books in 10 days. The Carl's Doomsday scenario was just as crazy and funny as the first book was, and it did not feel repetitive, which I was concerned about because honestly, how much different can the same story be, right? Oh boy, was I wrong, and I'm so glad I was. The third book, the Dungeon Anarchist's Cookbook, started to feel slightly repetitive, and there were some uninteresting parts when we got stuck with, frankly speaking, boring character tagging along our main duo, and even author addressed her being boring in the book. But she very slowly stopped being a third wheel and became for me, almost part of the crew. She is not my favorite, but I accept her even though I often forget she is actually there. I have to say, the third book was so far my least favorite book of the series because the whole thing was happening in some kind of railway system and I just could not keep up with that. But that's, I guess, really the only thing. There were many great and hilarious moments. The emotional scenes hit hard as well. The characters were getting more and more interesting, and I kept laughing out loud no matter my surroundings. It was a fun ride, and I am already listening to the next book in the series. Okay, guys, so these were all the books I finished in October, and let's do a quick flip through. This cover page is so cute. Oh man, I am so happy I finally did something simpler and that it looks good. I love this frame. It's a pity you can see the sticker underneath, but that is okay. I can deal with that because this is cute. For the calendar page, this is completely different from what I have done ever, but I wanted to bring some kind of frame in here as well, so these are completely different and not matching this big frame, but it is okay, I don't really mind. We have a little calendar here, and what I do is I write down a list of all the books I read during the month, not only those I finished, but all the books. And then I assign them color and mark the days when I read the book in the calendar. And I think it looks so pretty. It is not necessary, but I like how it looks, so I keep using it. And I also edit numbers in here, so it is easy to identify. And this number represent how many books I have read during the year, and I am on book 99. Which is absolutely crazy. I set my goal for 100 books on Goodreads, but I never expected to actually complete it. Here we have some simple statistics. Okay, now this was completely a last minute decision and I think it turned out okay. I started doing these lines because I wanted to make the similar look to the cover page, and I had no idea what I was doing, but by the time I got to this side I realized that I don't need to do full length marks, that these look much better, and I very quickly doodled some daggers in between the lines so it would match the cover page. And yeah, I love this hollow washi tape. I don't remember where I got it from. I've had it for years and it is not really sticking properly anymore, so I always have to use glue with this one. Okay, now for the Far Wilder Magic. It is so different from this page, but I think it kind of works together because I used basically the same style of decoration. This is washi tape from Notebook Therapy, and I added another washi tape on the bottom, and these branches are so good, and I just now realized they match the cover. I did not even realize there are branches on the cover. So that is fun. And I love these flowers with the bow, and it is almost the same color as the lettering in here, which I am so happy about. And more stickers. Yeah, I love how this page looks, even though it is simple, and I rarely do simple. So next, I went with slightly different layout because I had 3 books. I had no idea what to do with and what spreads to do, and I did not like these 2 at all. So as you can see, I did barely any decoration because like I am not going to waste stickers on something I don't like. There is like bare minimum, and I love what I did for the graveyard shift. When I saw this green title, I knew I wanted to use this chair from the washi tape shop, pre-cut washi tape. So I looked for that, and I keep using that chair, so I have to go farther and farther into the washi roll to find it, but I found it. And I also added some other stickers in as well from the same roll, and I added these in here just because they were green. And this as well, but this alarm clock kind of works with the story. So that's there, and this corner piece is again from Canva, and I just changed the color and printed it on sticker paper. This lantern is so cute. This, as I said, a minimum decoration. And I just did some crystals for the black row cabin because there was some kind of magic thing going on, and a cute little cat. I put the rating stamp there, and then I realized I don't need it, so I just written LOL. I had a moment. And now for the last spread. I mean, this is crazy. Like, I used all the pink stickers I could find. These food ones are from Sticky Club, and those cats and rainbows and unicorn, I have no idea where those came from because I've had these for at least 5 years, and I honestly I don't remember, but I am so glad I got to use them in here. This is crazy and totally not my style and not what I expected when I started to work on this spread, but I like it. And that's it for my October wrap up. Links to all the stationery shops are in the description. And if you like this video and want to see more reading wrap ups, here is one of my favorite ones. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.